I was just welcoming you to the space and thanking you for joining us once again on Citizen Speak Out. Please do feel free to tell us more about this recall situation. I listened to you yesterday on General Chat, and there were a lot of nuggets, golden nuggets that you were putting through there. And I felt a lot of people needed to hear that. And since the space is recorded, please do feel free to run us through that. What are your thoughts on the Triple C recalls? And also, you mentioned the part that you played when it came to the legislation that is being used at this current moment in time. So over to you, Senator. Please feel free. Senator, are you still there? Your mic is muted now.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank everyone who is listening. I would like to thank the organizers of this space for the invitation. And I want to assure you that we do not take this invitation for granted at all. Well, first of all, I need to put a disclaimer. Contrary to what Pedzisai Ruhanya, Simbaru Chikanza, and the other haters of the MDC have said, the MDC does not have anything to do with the recalls in the Triple C. This is an internal affair, a purely internal affair that is whose origins are traceable. So we do not have a dog in that fight. But what we realized is that a gentleman called Sengezo Shabangu wrote to the speaker informing the speaker that certain MPs were no longer members of the Triple C. It is not clear whether there were any internal processes before the recall. It is also not clear whether or not he has the authority to recall. But a letter was written to the speaker, and the speaker acted on that letter. And after the speaker had acted on that letter, we saw letters purporting to come from Advocate Chamisa, a letter written on the 11th of September, 2023, in which he formally introduces his party to the speaker, and who can recall and who may not recall, who can correspond and who may not correspond. Regrettably, that letter is not date-stamped at all. It was only date-stamped after the recalls, and the recalls took place about a month after the 11th of September. The impression created is that this letter was an afterthought. Now, in the absence of any prior correspondence to the speaker, there is no way that the speaker could sit in judgment to evaluate whether Chabangu had authority or not. What normally is done is that when you have MPs elected into parliament, as the president of that party, even before the swearing in of your MPs, you have to do certain administrative actions. One of these actions is to write to the speaker on your letterhead, formally introducing your party and yourself as the leader of that party. And in that letter, you attach the constitution of your party. You also attach, or you also advise in the correspondence to the speaker the signing mandates which are in your party. When the speaker gets that, he opens a file. So in the case of the MDC, he opens a file of the MDC with a correspondence from its president. It's a constitutive document, normally a constitution, and the signing mandates. In the absence of that, the speaker has no way to tell whether an officer has authority or not. And in terms of the law, he cannot sit in judgment and say and try to interrogate how the correspondence came to be issued from that party. That is not his job. The issue about the justice or injustice of the recall are decided at a party level where the speaker is not represented. In fact, the speaker is a member of his own political party, and he cannot stand in judgment over the internal processes or lack of processes of other political parties. I say this because I saw in the social media some people from the Triple C saying that the speaker must have convened a hearing of some sort to interrogate Mr. Chabangu's authority, or at any rate to adjudicate on who had authority between Advocate Shamisa and Mr. Chabangu. That is not the job of the speaker at all. And this brings me to the court application that was filed by the Triple C MPs. And in that court application, they are arguing that the speaker did not hear them, that the speaker did not listen to their pleas for mercy or pleas. That is not the job of the speaker. The job party processes, and these internal party processes are governed by what is called a constitution. In the case of the MDC, for example, if somebody is aggrieved by any action, we have the officer of the arbiter general, who is a qualified lawyer, who is also qualified to be appointed as the judge of the High Court. He then adjudicates over party disputes. It's not for the speaker to do that. And I just want to, in that regard, to advise members of the public as well as political parties that when you approaching this speaker, for ZANU-PF. So he was there when the section was drafted. Section 129 was drafted. He was there. He did take part in the debate. In fact, both Magaisa and Mangwana did not like the idea of a recall. But both Mudenda and myself and Mukosi favored a recall as a way of bringing in internal party discipline, but also as a way of bringing our constitution closer to Westminster constitutions. So when approaching Advocate Ndenda, one must know that you are dealing with a person who was part of drafting of those of that particular clause. There is a clause that is below that, and that is 129L. And it says that if you are an independent candidate, and then you join a political party, you forfeit your seat. You have to recontest that seat. And this clause was written with Jonathan Moyo in mind. Jonathan Moyo had entered that parliament as an independent. We in the MDC had helped secure his election as an independent. But as soon as he entered parliament, he rejoined ZANU-PF, but retained the seat. And we then said that was not fair to the electorate, and we drafted that clause. So the sad thing is that these recalls are the first of their kind. First of all, they are the fastest recalls in the history of this country. That's number one, and that is fundamental. Number two, in terms of sheer size of people, or of the number of people per recall, this is a record. And these are the fastest recalls because these are the first recalls in history where MPs are being recalled without earning even the first salary. And this brings me to my uncle, Prince Dumeko Sibanda. He was sworn in about 5 minutes before. 5 minutes later, his name was being called on the list of the MPs who had been recalled. And it was a record. And this record is coming from the Triple C. And it looks to me as if it is a problem of their internal processes. Now, there is a court application that the MPs have filed, and I do sympathize with these MPs because this is the first time people are being recalled without any blame being put to them. When we were recalling in the MDC, the main issue was that these MPs had joined other political parties. And we cited clause 510A of our constitution to say it does not allow. Then we recalled the MP. Now, these MPs now have taken the matter to court to say the person who recalled us has no authority to do that. They even go on to say that the party, the Triple C, does not agree with the recalls. They even go further to say that the only person who has the right to correspond on their behalf with the parliament is Advocate Chamisa. Unfortunately, in their application, the Triple C is not cited. It is not part of that application. So the Triple C is not there at that court hearing to say, I, as the Triple C, as the legal person, don't approve of the actions of Mr. Chabang. There is no averment like that. The Triple C is not there to say that to the judge. So the Triple C is not there to dispute what Mr. Chabang is saying in that court application. But more interestingly, Advocate Chamisa has not deposed an affidavit in that court application supporting the MP's case. He is not saying, I am the president of the party, and Mr. Chabang does not have authority to write this letter. He has not put that in the court in form of an affidavit. He is not there in the court. He is not there in the court to say that he did not appoint Mr. Chabangu as the interim secretary general. Now, in the absence of that, Mr. Chabangu is likely to win that case not as a result of the capture of the judges, but on the sheer basis of the inadequacy of that case. Unlike what people are saying in the social media, the people who are in the know, that is the Triple C itself, as a legal person, as a party, has not said to the court that Chabangu is wrong. It has not said to the court that Chabangu has no authority. And the undisputed authority officer of the Triple C is Advocate Chamisa. Advocate Chamisa has not approached the court to say that he does not approve of the recalls, that he did not appoint Chabangu, that there was no resolution to recall them. He is simply not there at that court. And therefore, there is a discord between what is being publicly postulated and what is happening in real life, in the real political life. But at any rate, the president has now proclaimed an election date. Now, the constitution of this country says that a president can proclaim an election date upon being asked to do so by ZEC. And ZEC acts upon being advised by the speaker. And the speaker acts upon being advised by a political party. So once the date of an election is proclaimed, the case becomes academic. I saw someone, I think it was Mr. Chimono, who was saying that the by-elections are not going to happen because there is a court action. He is wrong. The by-election will not be stopped because a court application has been filed. What the lawyers needed to have done was to immediately, upon learning that Mr. Chabang was contemplating doing the recalls, because the letter was leaked even before Speaker Mdenda acted. What should have happened is that the leader of that party, Advocate Chamisa, should have convened his legal team. They should have bent the midnight oil to make sure that they do an interdict, which is an immediate urgent order to stop the various officials like Speaker, like ZEC and the President from acting until their court case has been heard. That was not done, and we don't know why that was not done. And I say this, it's very, very strange to me. Unfortunately, this is the first time I am saying this. I know one of the lawyers who act for the Triple C is Thabani Mpofu. I was privileged to be one of the lecturers of that young man. He is brilliant, he is good, but how Thabani will not know that there is a need for an agent chamber application defies logic. I do not understand that. Unless he acted deliberately, unless, of course, he was also not involved, and so on, unless, of course, he is not part of the decision-making matrix. But he ought to have known that there is need for an interdict. And there are lawyers within the Triple C, like Professor Walshman Ngube, again, a very top-notch lawyer. He has written books on law. He has been a lecturer at the University of Zimbabwe. I was privileged to be one of his students. Again, Professor Ngube should have known better that there is a need for an interdict. We have Tendai Biti. I do not like the way Tendai Biti talks to other people, the way he is always angry at the world. I don't like it. But the fact of the matter is that is one of the most brilliant legal minds we have on the land. Now, how come they did not see this? And to cap it all, the Triple C is led by an advocate, isn't it? And why didn't the advocate know that there is need for an interdict to stop these processes while they are heckling about whether Chabangu has authority or not? Now, it appears that there is method in the madness to me. And I want to see, I tried to look at the method. I don't see the method, I see madness only. Now, you then have people arguing that courts are captured. Yes, it may be that courts may be captured, but sometimes people give the courts the excuse. If I was a judge in this case, I would simply say, where is the affidavit from the leader of this party disputing that this is an acting general secretary? Where is an affidavit from their national chairman or whoever represents the party to say that I, as the Triple C, am not in agreement? If there is not that, then Chabang will be given the benefit of the doubt. And I foresee Chabang arguing to say that he has authority, and that if he did not have authority, The president of the party would have come to court to dispute him. That's what he's going to say. And I'm sorry to say that it is a very convincing argument. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is said that we have MPs who are being recalled. And I dare say that these MPs were left exposed. They were not protected by their own party. And sadly, there's going to be a by-election. We have, as the MDC, derive no pleasure from what is going on in a sister party like the Triple C. But it appears to me that the Triple C has vindicated what I always used to say, that at its conception, the people who constituted it, who included G40, people like Wopolo Chingono, the late Magaisa, I think, and the other people, they were united by something unholy. They were united by hate. They were not united by a cause. And it then appears that the party now has lost its essence. And it appears that it has no honor. So it's a citizen coalition. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is a citizen coalition. But in the absence of a constitution, then anybody, including somebody who is walking in the streets in Mbare, can come out and say, I am a citizen and I qualify to be in this entity and I am making this decision. The reasons why you have a constitution is then to tell people who are the officials who are prepared to act. Now, this is, as I said, a very sad development. Zimbabwe has elected officials, ZANU-PF and Triple C, constituting that parliament. And for the past months, these elected officials, these elected political parties, these representatives of the people have not been representing people. They have been involved in never-ending bickering about elections, about whether these elections were free and fair, about whether President Mnangagwa is recognizable or not, and now we are talking about recalls. And yet there are immediate problems in this country. Cholera has broken out again, even before the rainy season starts. And God knows what will happen when the rainy season then starts in earnest. Cholera is a waterborne disease, and we are going to see a catastrophe if no immediate action is taken. And the Triple C, being the party running the urban councils, has to take initiative to protect the urban citizens. And this doesn't appear to be happening because there are these developments. We have the exploitation of our mineral wealth, lithium in Mberengwa, Nyanga, Mutoko, Bikita, and I now hear that it has also been located in Buhera. It is being taken away without any benefit to the local communities. The environment is being polluted. If you go to Sandawana today, and if wind comes when you are there, all those mountains emit white smoke, which is then carried out to be like white clouds of lithium particles that fall on citizens, and those citizens are in danger. It is happening in our country. We want investment. We want the Chinese to come and invest, the British to come and invest. But we want them to have corporate social responsibility. We want the local communities to benefit. And there is no one in parliament right now speaking about devolution. We have our parents suffering because of the high cost of education. People are miserable out there. This government, these elected people must deal with that. We have the problem of health, maternity health. It's not being catered for. And most importantly, we have the problem of inequality in this country. So the problems facing the people of Zimbabwe are immense, and we need to get into those problems as elected people. We as the MDC did not take part in this election. And therefore we are not representative in parliament. We are not represented in parliament, and we are not representative in parliament. But there are people who are representative in parliament. There is already negation of duty and so on. So this is a sad development in this country, and we are happy to say that as the MDC, we have moved on. And we are busy rebuilding our party. We are building national synergies, international synergies, and we are happy to say we are succeeding.
Thank you so much, Senator. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation there. I just wanted to quickly ask a question. And fantastic work. I saw you were in the Scotland, I believe it was, meeting with the Labour Party there. Thank you so much. We need those international relations. Keep up the great work. But coming back to Zimbabwe now.
Liverpool.
Oh, it was Liverpool. Thank you. Thank you so much. And when we come back now to Zimbabwe, we've got this whole issue of the structure. Nelson Chamisa says it's a structureless structure. And I believe, obviously, Chabangwi is saying is interim SG. That issue is that do you think that's also a problem that has led us here, where people don't know who their leaders are within Triple C? And to also then mention the issue of the speaker. There's the issue of the constitution of political parties. Are these constitutions of political parties available to Parliament? Are they there so the Speaker is aware of the manner in which a political party is formed and so forth? Or is it something that is not there in Parliament? If you could please respond to that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I was in Liverpool attending the annual conference of the Labour Party. The Labour Party and the MDC are sister parties. Both of them come from the trade union movement. And we have decided to re-establish our links and build synergies with other progressive political parties, sister parties. So we have established links with the SPD in Germany, the SPD in Denmark, the SPDs in the Scandinavia. We have now established links as the MDC in our rebuilding of this party. We are rebuilding the MDC under the theme of the 3 R's: reset, and recover all. And we are recovering national synergies. We are also building national synergies. And my deputy, Paulina Mpariwa, is in charge with reconnecting with labor, civil society, and the traditional leadership. And we are very excited that this is going according to plan. Now, the constitution of political parties that are in Parliament is not a must. It is not a requirement that you must submit it. It is a question of common sense and convenience. So the political parties who enter Parliament must advise the Speaker that they have a leadership. They must give him the list of the leadership, or at least the name of the party leader and the constitution of that party and the signing arrangements. Had this been done in the case of the Triple C, we wouldn't be here. That is if it is true that Chabangu did not have authority, because that's a very big issue. That's a very big question mark. Because if he did not have authority, surely Advocate Chamisa should have acted better than he has acted now. So the constitutions of political parties are then kept by the Speaker. I know for certain that the constitution of ZANU-PF is there at Parliament. I know it because I inspected it myself. When I was leader of the opposition, I wanted to know more about ZANU-PF, what they could do or could not do in Parliament. And I studied their constitution. I asked for it, and it is there. The Speaker has it, the Clerk of Parliament has it. And they have signing arrangements emanating from officers who were elected at their Congress. So, for example, the world knows that the Secretary General of the MDC is Tapowa Mashakada. How did he come about? There was a constitution a Congress in 2022 of the MDC, which elected Douglas Mwonzora as the president. 3 days later, he announced his leadership and so on. All this the speaker must have. Now, if you don't have that, you then have the problems that the Triple C and my brother Chamisa are going through right now. Now, it is not true that the Triple C is structureless. That's not true. It has a structure. It has a president who is called a president. It has a spokesperson. Well, sometimes it's Mahere, then sometimes it is Talos, and these days it is Mukwanas. It has a chief whip in parliament, and I'm told that's Chibaya. But that's where the structure ends. So it has a structure, but it is a very, 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 very small structure. The rest below it, it does not have the structure. Now, there could have been some, I'm told there was a strategy in that. I fail to understand the logic of that strategy, but of course, I'm not a member of that party, so I can't say that the strategy was well conceived or not. What I can just say is that we are seeing the effects of something as unwise as that. There's no need of inventing the wheel. Since the political parties became an issue in this world, they took various forms and sizes, ranging from the early parties to the Bolsheviks, Mensheviks in the USSR, the Chinese Communist Party, the Labour Party, conservatives in the UK, in the US, and so on, the Democrats, and so on and so forth. But there's one common denominator about political parties. They have a structure. They have a constitutive document. Some people call it a charter. Some people call it a constitution. Now, the organization of the Triple C that we were told about means that they were reinventing something in the world that was completely unknown. And they were superimposing two systems. The one system was the centralization of political power. If we take Advocate Chamisa's letter to the speaker, for example, he says that he is the president, and that is true. It's objectively true. He is the president. But he then also says that he is the generator of all correspondence. What that means, therefore, is that Advocate Chamisa, within the context of the Triple C, is the president and the first secretary of that party. Now, we know where all this is being copied from. We had a president and first secretary of ZANU-PF. The distinguishing feature is that ZANU-PF had a constitution, whereas the Triple C does not have a constitution. So I think there is need for political parties to have their constitutions. After all, you know, constitutions, ladies and gentlemen, are built out of the distrust of politicians. We do constitutions because politicians by nature are not trustworthy. They will do what is convenient to them. But if a system is opaque, it is also opaque to the person presiding over that system. So, for example, that a person like Chabamu could come and write a letter to Parliament, which letter was potent in the sense that it was given effect to, may not have been foreseen in this opaque system. So the opaqueness does not benefit the presiders of the system.
Thank you so much. And having mentioned Chabangu there, could you, because it's been said by Nelson Chamisa, and he's telling, and Triple C are telling anyone that would listen to them that they do not know him, as if he does not exist and never has had any form of relationship with the Triple C. What are your thoughts on the matter?
It must be understood that the Triple C is a derivative of the MDC. Now, I happen to know Mr. Chabangu. Mr. Chabangu, at one point in time, was the General Secretary of the Hotel, Catering and Allied Workers Union. He was their Secretary General and therefore a member of the ZCTU General Council. I know it because I was the legal advisor of the ZCTU in my early years, working years. And I started a program, the Paralegal Training Program. And under that program, I trained quite a number of people. And these include people like Paulina Mpariwa, Lucia Matibenga, I think Tokozani Kupe. We had people like Gift Chimanikire, Gideon Shoko, and Sengezo Chabang. And this person was a member of the ZCTU. He is a founder member of the MDC and became the chairperson of Matabeleland North in the MDC. And he became an elected official. I don't know whether it was, I think it was council sometime. But when the MDC split into MDC and PDP, Chabang went with the BT to the PDP and formed the PDP. When Advocate Chamisa brought them back, the PDP back at the Congress of 2019 in Guero, Tendai BT came with all his leadership, including Sengezo Chabang. When we had that ideological rupture in 2020 following the Supreme Court case, there were two groups in the MDC. One group said we are not going to listen to the Constitutional Court. And that group included Advocate Chamisa, Tendai BT, Welshman Ngube, and Sengezo Chabang. And when the Triple C was formed, Chabang was a founder member of the Triple C. And he was an official of the Triple C. I know that he did sign for the candidates, some of the candidates of the Triple C. And to say that this person is not known by the Triple C is not to be truthful. But maybe people are trying to manage their supporters. They are trying to manage the world. Certainly they know Chabang. Whether they agree with him or not, we don't know. Now, they say if it quacks like a duck, swims like a duck, lays eggs like a duck, flies like a duck, then it is a duck. If you are a founder member of a party, if you attend the founding meeting of the party, if you attend the rallies, if you sign for the candidates, therefore, then you are a member of that party. It admits of no doubt that Chabangu is a member of the Triple C. And I heard somebody who was saying that I saw a lot of images being floated around, people putting a face on Chabangu. And at one time, George Charamba was seated with a ZANU-PF functionary. I've forgotten his name. And somebody just wrote that this is Chabang. Now, the level of cheap information, cheap misinformation has become so unacceptable. And we see people manufacturing letters from the police, letters from parliament, and so on and so forth. This has gone badly far enough. We must have seriousness in this country. So the truth is that Chabangu is known to the leadership of the MDC.
So much.
And it's known to the leadership of the Triple C. In fact, at the time that Tendai BT broke up with the MDC, Advocate Chamisa was the organizing secretary of the party, and I was spokesperson of the party. He came to the standing committee with the list of those officials who had left the party to form the PDP. On his list, I think it was number 19 on the list, was Sengezo Chabang, written by him.
Oh, thank you so much, Senator. A quick question there. When it comes to the correspondence, or basically that court applications that have been made, I saw that there were a lot of names of the Triple C MPs that have been recalled on it. Is that coming from Triple C as a party, or these are MPs that have had to approach the courts by themselves? I don't quite understand what's going on there. Is Triple C supporting them, or it's them trying to fight for themselves?
What is clear is that these MPs are now on their own because, as you rightly say, the Triple C did not make itself part of the application to help their MPs. The Triple C leader did not become part of the action to represent or to support the MPs. The MPs seem now to be on their own, and it's like Indo Dias Bonella. So it is a tragedy. The problem then that these MPs do have is that they cannot convince the judge that Chabang is not an official, because the judge will simply say that, but you, let's say, I think there's a lady called Jesmine Toffa. Jesmine Toffa, Honorable, you do not do appointments in the Triple C. And she'll say, yes, I don't do appointments. How then do you know that Chabang was not appointed by the president of your party? She'll be stuck there. So sadly, I think they are now on their own according to the court action. It may be that to the outside world, the leaders are posturing that they are supporting the MPs. I don't think they have supported them sufficiently.
Thank you so much. My last question before I move on to the other speakers has to do with what I've seen. I've seen that Promise, who's obviously the current spokesperson for Triple C, once tweeted that, or he posted that hashtag Feel the Streets. And now I see one of the MPs that have been recalled there, Debeko Sibanda, has been, Prince Debeko Sibanda, has been saying that they want to go to the streets, and this will happen apparently on Monday, the 23rd, I believe it is. Now, my question is, would that kind of resolve fix what's happening currently with their situation as recalled MPs? Will any type of protest really help them in the long run?
Well, first of all, being a constitution maker myself, I know that there's freedom of expression. And demonstration is part of that freedom of expression. So yes, they have the right to demonstrate should they want to demonstrate. They have the right to take any lawful action that they deem fit. Whether that lawful action will help things or not is another matter. But looking at this case has now been put in two forums. The first forum is that this case has now been put in court, and the court is sitting considering this case. And what the Triple C or my uncle Debeko should be doing is to make sure that they put as good a case as possible before the judges. And the second forum that this case is now in is that it is now subject of an election, because the president has proclaimed an election date, and therefore it is irreversible. Whether the demonstration will work, I doubt that very much. The demonstration may work to galvanize people, to show outrage, to show political, numerical muscle. Probably to do that, but I don't see it reversing the plight of the MPs, or I don't even see it resolving the problem of who has mandate and who has not. And also, it has to be clear on what who people are demonstrating against. Are they demonstrating against Chabang? Question, we don't know. Are they demonstrating against the speaker? If they are demonstrating against the speaker, what do they want the speaker to do? Do they want the speaker to babysit them and supplement their administrative incapabilities? I do not understand. So I don't think it will resolve anything. But as I said, it is their duty, it's their right to demonstrate if they want.
Fantastic, and that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Senator. Now, right, I can see Takawira, your hand is up. Yes, as a co-host, obviously, you may go ahead. And when I go to the other speakers, please, may we be respectful. We do not tolerate any sort of abuse or personal issues that are brought when we're dealing with a topic. You can see what the topic is. Let's please stick to that. Otherwise, if anything goes wrong, please, the co-host, drop whoever misbehaves. Many thanks. Takawira, over to you first, and then after you, we can move to finals. Thank you.
Thanks, Boss Salani. How are you? Hello, Senator Mwonzora, every speaker, or the listeners on there. Senator, I have a question regarding the recall process at party level. Isn't there supposed to be sort of a meeting that gives a resolution for that recall? What is the process? Can an SG get the power just to unilaterally withdraw someone from parliament on the pretext that they cease to be member without following internal party process that disqualifies the person or revokes their membership or anything? I just wanted to understand what is the process before the Secretary General communicates with the Speaker of Parliament.
Oh, thank you very much. Takawira, if it was in the MDC, then in terms of our constitution, the person whose rights are to be affected is summoned either at the Secretary General's office and so on, and the allegations that will give rise to adverse action are put to him. And in terms of the constitution, the standing committee sits and that a recall must have. Like the recalls that you saw from the MDC, they are contained in minutes of a party organ. So if somebody were to say Mwonzora did a personal act, I would simply pull the minutes and say this is a decision by the political party. This is because there is a process, there is a procedure that is spelled out clearly in the Constitution. Now, if you don't, number one, if you don't have that Constitution, then the procedure is a matter of conjecture and so on. So there is no procedure to recall if you don't have a constitution. So anybody can just stand and go and recall because there are no internal rules. Further, unfortunately, there is no evidence before the court that this internal process didn't take place. Because the Triple C as a party has not to take place. Advocate Chamisa at party level, but in the absence of a constitution, there is no procedure to follow.
Thank you so much. Right, as I mentioned before, the senator has got has got a very busy schedule. So please, we've got only about 30 minutes to go. So I would kindly ask for people to give questions so that he can respond. I know at times you want to give context to your question, but please find a way to do it so that it's still a question and he can respond to it, and we can allow the people that are here to also communicate with him. And I would ask the co-hosts of the speakers that are on the podium, please check who has reposted the space. If they haven't, then kindly remove them from the speaker's podium so we can work with those that are working with us.
I'm speaking or I can't hear people.
We are speaking. Was that Tapiwa? Okay, let me just drop him for a second and then he'll come back. Yeah, so if you're a speaker and you know you're on the podium, please repost the space. We want people to hear what the senator has to say. And if you want to speak, we also want people to hear what you have to say. So those are the rules of engagement. So co-host, please assist me with that. Finos, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, host and the co-host as well. Senator Mwonzora, thank you so much for coming through. Sorry, I've got two questions. The first one is to do with the participation of those that have been recalled. Can they participate in the upcoming by-elections? That's the first question. The second part of the question is last week and the week before last, Ostalos on all his press conferences and statements has been referring to Nelson Chamisa as the founder of the CCC, the founder of the CCC. Does it mean it renders the Congress redundant whatsoever? What's your take on that? Thanks.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Well, technically, the recalled MPs can still participate in the by-election. But whether they will participate in the by-election representing the CCC remains to be seen, because if they do that, Chabang's powers of recall have not been expunged by anybody. So you have a danger of these guys contesting the election, winning, and Chabangu recalling them again the next morning. So there is a dilemma, and I do sympathize with the members of the CCC there. Especially some of the innocent MPs. I know there are a number of innocent MPs there. But the reality is there is not enough protection for them. So it will have to be a value judgment on whether they want to contest or not. But of course they may contest. Or the other thing is that they may have to contest as independents or to contest as another political party, to form another political party and contest. Those are the options available to them. But I do sympathize with them that their options are extremely, extremely limited. I just hope on their behalf that they may win this court case. Because if they somehow win the court case, then they are protected. But if I was their lawyer, if I was them, I would withdraw that horrible court case and substitute it with another court case which makes sense. This one doesn't make sense. This one is unwinnable. And I am sorry to be the harbinger of bad news. Ostalos is a man who speaks a lot. And with due respect to him, he speaks first and then thinks later. He thinks that by saying that Advocate Chamisa is a founder of the party, that gives him extra powers. No, it doesn't. ZANU-PF was founded, I think around 1963, 1964. It was founded in Highfield by 4 people. And some of the people who then ran ZANU-PF during the time that it entered into government were not even the founder members of that party. So being a founder member does not absolve you, does not substitute you for a constitution. Even if you are a founder member, you must have a constitution. Dynamos has founder members. It has a constitution. Highlanders has the founder members. Some of them have died. Some of them are very old now and are no longer taking part in the administrative affairs of Boso. But it has a constitution. So nothing turns on whether a person is a founder or not. But we also know that Advocate Chamisa is not the only founder of the Triple C. When the Triple C was formed, there was BT, there was Welshman, there was Chabangu, there were all these people, Magaisa, Chingono, etc. They were all these people when it was formed. So they were founders as well. So the advocate, unfortunately.
Thank you so much for that. Matthew, please come through.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Senator Mwonzora, my question is, I've got 2-3 questions. Okay, number one is
sorry. For the essence of time, please, one question will suffice. I think we need to also allow others to contribute. Finance was able to get away with that one, but if everybody asks more than one question, we will not get where we need to get to. So please do bear with us. Ask the most pertinent question, and then we can move on to the next speakers. Thank you.
Okay, Senator, what will happen if Triple C MPs resign en masse? What will happen? What does that? I'm asking to say if Triple C all the MPs resign, are we going to have are we going to have sort of all by-elections and by-elections and by-elections if for all 104 constituencies? Thank you.
Yes. If all Triple C constituents MPs resign, then by operation of law, there will be by-elections. The law has not been changed yet. Somebody was arguing that maybe we must change the law to say that if there is a vacancy, then the party which has lost members of parliament must replacements. Now, if they resign, then that does not that will mean that there will be a crisis of some sort. Definitely, there will be international outcry. They would have demonstrated resolve, I think, in a very dramatic way. But I can tell you that it's very, very theoretical, my brother. There is not going to be that mass resignation. I don't think the MPs will want to do that because some of them tell me that they went to parliament using their own resources. It was a personal investment and so on. And to get them to resign en masse, I do not think that they'll be able to do that. But you know also that there are MPs who are on proportional representation. So those who are on representation, if they simply replaces those who would have resigned.
Thank you so much, Senator. Let's move to taxi, please. Finals, please forgive me, but if you could drop down to listeners so I can make room for other speakers, that would really help. Finals, thank you. I mean, I can't even drop you myself, so please help me there. Can we go to taxi driver, please? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mine is a very simple one, Senator, and thank you for availing yourself again. I heard you say you wrote the recall clause. Did you write it in its original form? Was it an amendment of a previous constitution? Because they were, if you can respond to that, because people yesterday were saying it is a further edit of the take-care clause, and Senator must not claim credit for this. Thank you.
Sorry, Senator, before you respond, there are some speakers that I noticed have not reposted the space. Co-host, please help me with that. Can you remove them and make room for those that are reposting the space? Thank you. Senator, are you still with us?
Yes, yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Let me make it clear that I am not claiming credit for the recall clause or any clause of that constitution, of this constitution for that matter. But I am stating historic facts about how it was written and who were involved in writing it. This very clause, this particular clause we are talking about that is being used, it was written by the 6 people that I talked about, myself included. Honorable Mangwana, Honorable Mkosi, myself as the co-chairpersons, Jacob Mdenda, Josephat Chuma, and Alex Magaisa. It is a historic fact, but recalls had always, I think they started being done. I'm not very sure they started being effected, maybe, but in its current form, it is us who wrote it.
Sorry, is it me or I can't hear the senator?
I think it's breaking. I think it's losing.
Yes, I said that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Senator, we couldn't hear you. The network went off a bit there.
He probably needs
Yes,
to go down
I said that I am not claiming credit for the recall clause, but I am simply stating historic facts about how it was written and who was involved when it was written. There was myself, Honorable Mangwana, Honorable Mukosi being the co-chairpersons. There was Magaisa Alex, the late, Josephat Chuma, and Jacob Mdenda being the technical people. We were involved in the drafting of this clause. And the point I was making is that when approaching Mdenda relating to recall, one must always remember that he has knowledge of the origin of this clause, the intention of the legislature, the intention of the lawmakers. He has first-hand information about it. And he is very experienced about recalls. For example, he knows that the courts have ruled time without number. They've ruled on 23 occasions that he has no discretion once he received a letter. So on 23 occasions, the High Court, the Constitutional Court, the Supreme Court have ruled that Mdenda has no discretion. And therefore, when he refuses to entertain you, to say, I am not a court of law, he knows what he is doing. Under that clause 129, he neither has judicial or quasi-judicial functions. He doesn't sit as an arbitrator. He has no business in what you do in your party. Now, some people then say that why did he not recall the 70 after that letter? It's also very simple. He is in possession of the constitution of that party, of ZANU-PF. He has knowledge on who the Secretary General of that party is, and so on. So if you write in order to dramatize what is happening or to create a false sense that you are somehow causing a crisis, then it is very unfortunate because it does not make sense.
Thank you so much for responding to that. Right, Brighton, please come through. Then we'll have Tom, please.
Hi, Salani. How are you, Senator Mwonzora? How are you there? Can you hear me, Senator?
I am okay.
Good to hear from you, Senator. I just wanted to ask a few questions. You know, there's a whole lot of questions.
Sorry, Brighton, Tukitama, one question. The time is limited.
Okay.
So please ask the most pertinent question. Thank you.
One. I just wanted to check, because what's happening is often we're talking about the recall, but very little is known about the mind of the one recalling. And I'm glad that Senator Mwonzora is here. Perhaps he can be able to help us to shed more light on why perhaps the one recalling chooses recall, since we know that, you know, in many cases, recall has to be the last resort. Is it because he had faced or exhausted all the internal mechanism within the party, which he was part of then, and then he sort of chose the recall route, or it was just out of spite? We're just trying to understand a little bit what's in the mind of the one recalling. Thank you so much, Salani.
Brilliant
Thank you,
question.
Brighton. Thank you, Brighton, for that question. The simple answer to your question is that I don't know. I don't know what went on in the mind of Chabangu. I'm not a member of his party. I don't also know whether he did internal consultations or not. I don't know that. I also don't know whether he acted out of spite or out of goodwill. Again, I have no way of knowing that. I started when we started this space by making a disclaimer that I have nothing to do. We have nothing to do with what is happening in the Triple C. We can comment, of course, like in my case, my knowledge about the law relating to recalls, my knowledge about the court case, because now it's a public document and I have read it. You may want to know that I am completing my book. This issue of candidates actually was there even before these MPs were elected. There appears to have been a dispute already. And I also saw Professor Walshman Ngube saying, I don't want to be involved in kindergarten politics. BT also saying that he's not a president of anything, and so on. But beyond that, Brighton, I'm so sorry to say, I have no knowledge about what motivated Mr. Chabangu to do that.
Thank you so much for that. Tom, please come through. Then we'll have Amos, then Tapiwa.
Thank you so much. Greetings, Senator, and thank you for such a sterling job. It's always refreshing hearing your articulation of the issues. I'm going to prioritize this one question to you, even though I had many. But I'm going to ask you, as a prominent legal mind, to maybe help us lay people understand the adjudication process. It's a pity we are having to use these opportunities instead of picking your mind on other issues, but to correct decent misinformation. Please help us identify and I know to the level of your comfort, given that the case is adjudicated. So to the level of your comfort, help us understand the adjudication process in a case like this one, and help us understand who carries the burden of proof initially, the plaintiff or applicant or the respondent. Because the reason why I ask you to do this, to help us in this case, is while some influential people have misled the public and lay persons in thinking that Chabangu carries some burden of proving in the context of the proceedings, that is, that he is indeed Secretary General, yet it could be that those that are alleging he is not, since they're the ones who have taken him to court and he is a respondent. carry that burden. Please help us understand that how this process plays out and who carries the burden of what proof. If you cannot refer to this particular case, maybe you can just do it in a general sense. Thank you.
Well, this is a case of national and even international importance. It is a public case, and we can talk about it without the problems of sub judice. It is very important for us to understand what this application is. It is an agent chamber application. And in that agent chamber application, they seek a declaration that Chabangu has no power of recall. Now, that's problem number one. The applicants who have brought the application must demonstrate to the court and convince the court that the matter is urgent. This matter is no longer urgent because the MPs have already been recalled. In law, we say the horses have bolted. You are closing the stable, but the horses have bolted. So that is the first burden they have, the applicants, the MPs, not Chabangu. Then the burden of proof. Who has to prove what? In law, there is a simple principle. He who avails proofs. Put in other words, he who accuses proves. So these MPs are accusing Chabangu of lacking authority. They are accusing Chabangu of having worked outside the authority of the CCC. They are using Chabangu as having substituted Advocate Chamisa in corresponding with Parliament. So they are the ones who have to prove that he did not have authority. He did not have the blessings of the party. He is not the interim Secretary General. It's not up to him. Now, how can they prove this? They should have proved this by filing an affidavit of the CCC as a party, as a legal person, to say, I as the CCC, I on behalf of the CCC, do not have knowledge of Chabangu, and that we did not approve the appeals. That affidavit is not there. The CCC has not even been cited in the court proceedings. So they will not be able to prove that the CCC did not tell Chabangu to go and withdraw the MPs. They would also have proven that Chabangu is not the Secretary General by adducing the evidence of Advocate Chamisa as the person who would, under their arrangement, I think, appoint this person. So Advocate Chamisa should have come to say, I never appointed Chabangu as interim Secretary General. But the affidavit by Advocate Chamisa is not there to say, no, I did not appoint this person, or I do not agree with the recalls. There is nothing in the court papers of that nature at all, except, of course, the correspondence allegedly written by Advocate Chamisa to other people. It does not hold water in a court of law. So the burden of proof lies with the MPs. And not even one of the MPs says that he is a member of the National Standing Committee or the National Executive or the National Council of the party. No one has authority there to represent the party. So the burden, to answer your question simply, the burden does not lie with Chabangu. He doesn't have to prove anything. It is the people who are accusing him who must prove on a balance of probabilities that Chabangu is wrong. All he has to do is he has to sit and defend. I saw the papers that he filed in. He is saying he is the Secretary General, and he is even explaining the circumstances under which his appointments came and how he has discharged his duties on previous occasions as interim Secretary General. So to disprove that, it is going to be very difficult.
Thank you so much, Senator. Right, can we have, I believe it was Tapiwa, there's two of you. Tapiwa with the headphones, please come through.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. That's me, I think. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you,
it is.
Senator, for your clarity. You know, you describe the law for us laymen to actually understand. It's a lesson. Can I ask you about the rights of? They were saying that the rights of the MPs in terms of their employment with Parliament, and the rights of those MPs in terms of them being sponsored by a political party. Do they have any rights at all, for example, in order to keep their job with Parliament and defend themselves against the party? Because you have said in this case that they have to prove whatever this political party, they are being recalled, for example, yeah? And then this political party is trying to recall them. Do they have any protection from the law for them to say, I got my job, I know I was sponsored, but I have to fight to stay in my job in Parliament. I have sworn that I'm going to be representing my people, and I have every right to represent my people without being recalled by whether Shavangu or Chamisa. Thank you.
No,
Senator?
they don't have that right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, under the law, they don't have that right. That right only is for people who come as independents, people like Themba Mliswa and so on. But where you are sponsored by the political party, the law is clear that that political party can advise the speaker that you are no longer its member. Now, the political party acts through natural persons. In this case, either through Chamisa or through Chabang. It has acted. And these people are saying it is not the political party that has acted. But the political party has not been called in to confirm the statement by these MPs that the political party itself did not recall. It is not in the court papers, unfortunately. But to answer your question directly, once you are on a party ticket, the provisions of that section apply. That if you cease to be a member of that political party, then you will be removed from Parliament. Now, I want to explain here as to when the recall happens, because again, I see in the press, social media, there is misapprehension. People saying Mudenda has recalled people. No. A recall happens the moment the letter from the political party is received and date stamped by Parliament. Even before it goes to the Speaker's desk, a recall has already happened. What you see the Speaker and the President of the Senate now doing is simply announcing to the world. And that is not when the recall takes place. The recall takes place once Chamisa or Chabangu, whoever it is, have filed that letter and it has been received by the security at the Parliament. It becomes a recall. A recall has been effected.
Thank you, Senator. Could you respond to this again? I know you mentioned it earlier, but someone is saying there that Senator Mwonzora has also recalled people, but you made it clear that people were recalled because they joined a different party, a political party. Is this correct? If you could just clarify there, please.
Yes, I'm very happy to do that. But just to say that the allegations by mostly the Triple C that I am the father of recalls in Zimbabwe is just malicious. The first person in opposition to recall was Morgan Tsvangirai, who recalled Tendai BT and 20 others after they formed the PDP. And the basis for the recall was that they had formed another political party. The second MDC leader to recall was Nelson Chamisa when he recalled Thokozani Kupe with a month to go to election in 2018. The third person leader to effect recalls was Thokozani Kupe when she was acting president of the MDC and I was secretary general. Then the fourth leader to do recalls was myself. And I recalled the list number of MPs. So the allegation that I have done recalls and so on and so forth, yes, my recalls are different from these ones. These recalls were done in terms of the constitution of the MDC. And the constitution of the MDC says if you join another political party, then you cease to be a member of the MDC. And as you know, that Advocate Chamisa, Welshman Ngube, Tendai BT, I suppose Tabani Mpofu was involved, they did affidavits that they gave to each MP to sign to say that they were no longer members of the MDC. So it is themselves who nailed themselves. And armed with those affidavits, we were then able to recall them on the basis that they had ceased to belong to our party. So they had made themselves conscious decisions, conscious actions that caused us to act. This is different from now. Now we do not have anything that protects those MPs. There is no constitution that they are supposed to have breached, and they are being recalled in record time. And I have already said that this is the first time in Zimbabwe where you are seeing 15 people being recalled even before earning the salary of the first salary of that parliament. And the first time in the history of this country where somebody is being recalled after 5 minutes of being, within 5 minutes of being sworn in as a member of parliament.
Thank you so much for responding to that. Right, I'm sorry about that. Patriot, please come through. It's coming through as Amos as well, but please come through.
Thank you very much, Salani, and thank you, Senator. I just have a question for you, Senator. Please, if you can respond in as simple terms as you can. I'm not very much, up to date with your legal terms. So, what would be the best, maybe, possible remedial action for the Triple C, considering that they don't have a constitution, like you said, and maybe in the context of what Mr. Themba Mliswa said when he was sharing that it might be best for them to recall everyone, restructure their constitution and their political party, and then contest again in by-elections. Do you think that might be the best action going forward? Thank you so much.
Please go ahead, Senator. Did you hear the question? Your mic is still muted. Senator, are you still with us? Right. I think the senator cannot hear. Let me try to do something here. So, Senator, I've just removed you from the speakers. It might be a network issue where you cannot hear us, and then we'll be able to add you. So, co-host, please assist me in adding the senator back. Tapiwa, I haven't forgotten about you. My twins, there were two twins there. There was 2 Tapiwas. So I haven't forgotten about you. Let's just try to add back the senator. Right. I see he's requesting. Kindly bear with us. Amos, you may have to ask that again, please, once we get him back. So please stay there. Right, I can see the senator is with us. Fantastic. Okay, Amos, you may have to ask that again. I'm not sure if the senator heard you. So please ask the question again. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, Senator. I'm sure I didn't scare you away there. All right. So my question was, what would you suggest to be the best, maybe possible remedial action for the Triple C, considering all this that has happened? And I'm just asking this question at the back of my mind with what Mr. Thembamliswa said when he was trying to also suggest maybe recalls. He shared that it would be best for the Triple C to recall everyone from Parliament and restructure their political party, have a constitution, and then contest in by-elections again. Do you think that would be the best way to proceed going forward, considering that if ever maybe the Triple C would want to put in an affidavit supporting the MPs, can it stand in court without a constitution in place? Thank you so much, Senator, for being here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that question. I'm not so sure whether I'm qualified to give advice to the Triple C. That's number one. It is more than adequate lawyers, and I am not qualified to advise it. That's number one. Number two, I am very reluctant to give them any advice at all because, as I said, I have no dog in the fight. All I can say as an outsider is how bad their case is and how the situation that they find themselves in is self-imposed. But you may never know what their intention was. You may never know what the intention of their leadership is. Is everything as it seems to be? I have my doubts there. So no, I can't tell them what to do. In this particular regard, my friend, I am not my brother's keeper.
Thank you so much. Right, this is what we're going to do. Can we do block questions there? There's 6 of you. So can I ask there to, well, there's 7, sorry. So let's do the first 3, ask your questions at once because the senator will be leaving us in the less than 10 minutes. And then the other 4 you ask and he'll respond as well. I want to give everybody an opportunity, but I've been told by Chengetai that he'll still be here to respond to any other questions that you may have. Remember, he is the Director for Information and Publicity in MDCT there. So he's the number 2 guy to go to. So let's do that, please. And please do understand we don't have enough time. So Tapiwa, please come through. 1 second. Then can we hear from Robson? And then I see DG has also joined. So those 3 questions, and then the senator will respond, and then I'll go to the next people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Salani. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so here's my question, Senator. You highlighted that some of the letters that Chamisa submitted are actually false and are backdated. Chamisa's advocate, what happens to him in that case that he has submitted information that is false? Why is there no backlash on that? And what can courts do against advocates who submit information that is false?
Right. Can we hear from Robson your question?
Sorry, I did not hear that question.
Oh, okay. Tapiwa, come through again. There's background people or noise, but go ahead. We'll try to hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I was saying the senator highlighted that Chamisa's letters that he submitted are backdated and actually false. What happens to an advocate who submits false information in the court or in parliament? Because it seems like they were trying to say that he submitted a letter before Chabangu, but it turns out that's not true. What happens to someone who's an advocate at that level? What happens to him? Is there any repercussions or reprimand for that?
Senator, have you heard it now? The question. Okay, let's go to the next speaker, Robson.
Thank you. Good morning, Boss Salani. I've got one question for Senator. With the by-elections beckoning, can you tell us whether MDCT or MDC, whatever you are now, you are going to field the candidates for this by-election? Are you going to contest? That would be my question. Thank you.
First of all, I want to clarify, they are not MDC, whatever they are MDCT. So Robson, you're being naughty there. But yeah, please, Gatsadaro, it's MDCT. They're not MDC, whatever. Many thanks. Can we go to DG, please?
Thank you. I'm one of Senator Douglas Mwonzora's admirers, and I've always argued that he's better than all the lawyers for Triple C combined, and I stand by it. So I think whenever we ask things about the Constitution, we are aware that you were party to the drafting of the Constitution. So whenever things like this happen, we always come to you to clarify. So where a question is raised on what Triple C should have done, we kindly ask you to respond in terms of the Constitution and not in terms of how you would advise Triple C, but what is stands constitutionally, because I believe that you are very good at constitutional law. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please feel free to respond now, Senator.
Oh, thank you very much. The first question by Robson is whether the MDC is going to participate in the by-elections. That is the question that was brought up at the standing committee on Thursday. I then deferred that debate to next week to see whether we should participate or not. There are two competing arguments that came out in the meeting. The first one was that we must always contest elections because at this point in time, they won't deny our candidates anymore. So we will just field the candidates we wanted to field. The other compelling argument was that we are in the process of restructuring our party, building synergies, preparing in earnest for 2028. Are we ready yet to contest elections? So we have deferred that question to next week. So we will be advising you when the National Council or the National Executive sits. Well, the question regarding what the Triple C should have done or should do, it does not seem to have a constitution. And if it does have a constitution, that constitution has not been submitted to the speaker. And it needs to submit that constitution. It needs to make a constitution. And then when it makes this constitution, then it has a basis of saying this person is qualified, this person is not qualified. So they have to have that constitution. I don't see what else they can do without the constitution, because the constitution is always coming back to them. The issue of structures is always coming back to them. Yes, at one time they said it was strategic. They feared infiltration by the enemy. That's what they used to say. And that's why they were doing the strategic ambiguity. But now they are saying Chabangu is the enemy, which means Chabangu is infiltrated, according to them. Which means, therefore, that not having a constitution, not having a structures is not the antidote to infiltration at all. Because according to them, they have been infiltrated by Chabangu. So what they need to do is to have their constitution. Regarding whether they should contest the election now, I don't know. But what I can tell you is that there is obviously going to be an issue about who fills the candidates under which name, especially the Triple C. Whose candidates are we going to have ZEC accept? Are they going to be Advocate Chamisa's candidates or Chabango's candidates? As things stand right now, the real power, political power within this organization lies with Chabango now. He is the one who has been able to recall successfully members of parliament. Whether that recall is just, is morally defendable, or what is a question of another day. But that he has been able to do it, he has given him power over the MPs. It has given him a hold over the MPs that Advocate Chamisa doesn't have. And right now also, Chabango, after Advocate Chamisa announced the disengagement at a press conference that he held, he said, we are disengaging. Whatever that means, because to me, that does not have any meaning at all. To say we are disengaging, what exactly does that mean? To me, it does not seem to make sense, because if you are saying you are disengaging, it means you are banking parliament. That's what it seems to be saying, according to them. So they will be receiving the salary of parliament. They will not be attending to parliament. They will remain parliamentarians. So according to them, banking means that being parliamentary loafers. Now, I doubt whether that is really defensible. You also have to balance the interest of the electorate. The go at Emakaya there is waiting for the MP to represent her. And then she's told that the MP is no longer going to parliament for a specific period of time. But immediately after Advocate Chamisa made that announcement, Chabango came in and said any MP that does not go to parliament will be recalled. And Mudenda not just suspended them for 2 weeks. I can tell you the CCC MPs would have obeyed Chabango now, not Advocate Chamisa, because there are immediate sanctions that they will feel. So the balance of power, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which side one is within the CCC, is being shared at the very least. It is being shared. Advocate Chamisa, in my view, has residual moral power. But the real hard political power rests with a person who has the ability of inflicting pain, who has the ability of being inconvenient. In constitutional law, we have what we call the Christian theory, or the theory of effectiveness. What this theory simply says is that where it's not clear on who is governing the country, what you look at is the person most inconvenient to the governed. The person whose decision is immediately felt by the governed is the government. So in this case, the person whose decision will be felt immediately is Chabango, because he has the ability to recall members of parliament, to cause a by-election, and so on. Advocate Chamisa doesn't have that power at this point in time. Of course, he has what others can say charismatic power. You quote the moral power. You quote a Bible verse here and there, yes. But the real hard power now is being shared. Now, that's not a healthy state of affairs for any political party. The other way is for them to go to Mr. Chabango and have dialogue together, discuss these things, iron this thing out, and save the difficulty on the part of the individual MP. That calls for people to swallow pride, and I know there is plenty of it in the party. But if I was Advocate Chamisa, I would make personal effort to engage Chabangu. I wouldn't send an emissary and so on. No, I wouldn't do that, because I read somewhere where they said Jameson Timber had been sent to talk to Chabangu. Now, this calls for the personal touch of the president. He has to go and meet Chabangu, discuss with him, persuade him, and so on. It may be that compromises have to be made. And it makes sense to look at this and compromise, because they have to address what the fundamental issues are. Because if you look at it, it doesn't look like Chabangu is isolated at all. I saw Prince Sbada saying people should visit Chabangu, meaning, of course, people should go there and physically deal with him. Nobody did in Matebeleland, which means he is speaking for them. He is speaking for a significant number of people. And that factor has to be put in. The president calls him, they meet, they discuss. Those are some of the options that they do have. But a hard-on approach, I think Chabangu will come up on top. Those are my thoughts, because you asked me to give an opinion on what they should do. I think they should explore dialogue. Dialogue works, and I'm very glad that my brothers and sisters in the Triple C are witnessing firsthand the politics of anger, acrimony, and violence. And we must have the politics of rational disputation. This is the time they must employ rational disputation with their disaffected members, and strive for a win-win solution. They shouldn't go there with an intention of conquering someone. They must go there with an intention of having a win-win solution. And if they want us to help them, we are ready to assist our brothers maintain better unity within their party.
Thank you so much, Senator Drukudzwana Chengeta. Time is finished. But can we have three ladies ask a question, please? We haven't heard any questions from women. And also, JCTV has been there. Nana Padar and Doita Seiko, guys. Chengeta itaura Senator. But I hear what Chengeta is saying. Absolutely. We have run over our time. So please, can I have Chimama, Shubza, and Karatidzo asking a question? Gentlemen, please understand, as you can see, I'm dealing with a lot there. I have to respect, obviously, the team that works with our senator, and he has been here for a very long time. So, but we need also to hear from the ladies. So can they all ask their questions in one go, and the senator can respond? Thank you.
Thanks, Boss Salani, for a very good space. Your two co-hosts, Senator, good day, Magadi Zenyu. Thanks to Shubza for sharing this amazing space. Senator, I've just got onto this space. I've listened to what you've said, and I have no doubt in my mind that Nelson Chamisa is an advocate. What blows my mind is, does he not know all these things legally? How he is supposed to respond to this? It doesn't make sense, and he's got so many lawyers that are working closely with him. So now my conclusion is that this is a deliberate move from himself, Nelson Chamisa, and I would like to give a few reasons why I say that. You know how terrorists operate? They don't want to be known where they work from, where they are sourcing money, who the leader is, who the structures are, who is heading in a different area, and so on. And I cannot distance how terrorists operate as compared to how CCC Nelson Chamisa has been operating. Because, for instance, he would say that my life is in danger. I need a bulletproof car. So they are like washing money through a GoFundMe. There is no accountability. There is nothing. No one knows who is sending where money and so on. And at the same time, we have Pachedu that was working closely with them, also, threatening Zek that, we are hacking the system, we're going to announce the result and so on. How is he, as an advocate, or, I'm just a layman, as an advocate, is he expected in any way by the law society to behave in a certain way? And is there a way that the law society can actually challenge him and say, this is not how you should be operating as an advocate? Therefore, maybe we are stripping you of whatever. I just want to know about his conduct as a professional, as an advocate, behaving in that manner, causing so much confusion in the political sphere of our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Shubza?
Oh, thank you, Salani. Thank you, Zulu and Takawira. And good day to you, Senator. My question comes like this. I think you were talking about your constitution for MDCT, that you can only recall, not only, but you can make recalls if somebody crosses the floor. Someone rejoins the other party. So my question comes here to say, when you were conducting your recalls, were you using the MDCT constitution? Because as far as I know, there is Honorable Joanna Mamombe, who actually openly crossed and joined the CCC, Chamisa's party, but you never recalled her. And why didn't you recall her? Because she had already joined the other party. Thank you.
Thank you. Karatizo, come through.
Good afternoon, Senator Mwonzora. Personally, I'm going to give my opinion on something. I actually think that these lawyers in CCC are on a mission to feed the narrative that quotes are captured, and they just want to create an outrage. But my question is, I heard the senator say, if it was up to him, he would have filed a different kind of a case, because there is no winning in this one. So I wanted to find out what format would the senator have filed his case instead of the one that lawyers have filed, the MPs have filed.
Thank you so much, ladies. Over to you, Senator.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me, with your permission, deal with the Joanna Mamombe issue. First of all, the lady Joanna Mamombe went through an ordeal, a unique ordeal from other MPs. Most of the time, Joanna Mamombe was in prison or was on the run and so on. And we saw very little of her in the parliament. But importantly, Joanna Mamombe did not show us the signed affidavit. We did not have an affidavit by Joanna Mamombe renouncing her membership of the MDC. So sometimes these MPs would, in order to hedge their bets, make public statements in order to please a certain section. That was not of our concern because some of them were posturing. And but what was important was the written word. There was no affidavit from her which was made public. And there were certain conversations, that happen when people do a public act of bravery, like Job was very good at it, Sikala. He would go out and say, we don't recognize Mwonzora, what. And then during the evening, phones Mkomadagi, Papa Ndazofari, someone on my sorry, and so on. There were people doing that, and so on. So there was no written affidavit by Joanna that was brought to our attention. The issue of Advocate Chamisa not protecting his MPs, I think it has more to do with his objectives as a leader and the way he wants to carry himself. I can't really comment on that. All I can tell you is that it is what is usually done is that you protect your elected officials unless you don't want them. But if you want them, you protect them by writing the speaker the very first time. And this is not the triple C people. Most of them are products of recalls, previous recalls by us. And therefore, they know that recalls do happen. And when they won this election, the first important thing was to protect their MPs. And their MPs apparently were not protected. We did not see advocate writing letters on time. Definitely the letter written on the 11th of September is an afterthought. And I will be able to prove it. I have a working knowledge of parliamentary procedures. Why he did that, whether it was sloppiness, whether it was incompetency, or whether it was deliberate, I am unable to say. I leave that for people to judge. Those who want to investigate. The issues, again, of the bulletproof car, I have no knowledge of that. But of course, I heard that money had been donated. And I don't know whether the car was bought or what. Pachedu, I don't know whether Pachedu is the same as Chari, but Pachedu was making a lot of claims. Some of the claims were not well researched. I should say they were not well researched. And during the delimitation, they made a lot of errors also, but to give them credit, they corrected themselves. But it doesn't appear to me that it was sensible for President Chamisa to proceed in the presidential election. I did warn them that in the absence of serious reforms, especially dealing with the delimitation, there was no way the opposition was going to win. And also, given that the government had amended law midway during the campaigns with 2 weeks to go, it was a telltale sign that the election will be stolen and will not be credible, or at least will be disputed. And I had tried to ask Advocate Chamisa and the company and the Triple C to say, let's move out of this election and dramatize that this election was not credible. But then they said that they were confident of winning. They were making public pronouncement that there was not going to be any rigging at all, and that they even gave themselves percentages. Unfortunately, after the election, they then started crying foul and said the election had been stolen, and that they were going to take the matter to the Constitutional Court. They even told us that they had enough V11s, enough primary data to prove their case. With a day to go to the swearing in of President Mnangagwa, before that, Advocate Mpofu actually said, put a Twitter post to say inauguration, which inauguration? And they posted a heap of papers that they said was the court application to challenge the case. My friend and I, who have been lawyers for years, when we looked at that heap, we actually concluded that it was just a heap of empty newsprint. There was no court application of that size at all, and so on. So they said they were going to take the matter to court. They didn't take the matter to court. They then said, no, we didn't take the matter to court because the courts are captured. What we are going to do is we are going to make sure that our people don't go to parliament, they don't go to council. But on the day of the swearing in, the very first councillor to be sworn in this country was a Triple C, a councillor. The very first person to arrive at Parliament building for swearing in were the Triple C MPs. So there was a discord between what they were publicly saying and what was happening. And then we were told, of course, I knew that was just managing supporters. We were told that the SADC was going to ask for a rerun. SADC has never ordered a rerun. Even in 2008, when Mugabe went it alone and Changra had withdrawn, SADC did not nullify Mugabe's election. They recognized him as president. All they just did was to persuade him to share power with Changra. So there was no way the SADC was going to have a rerun. But of course, there was a lot of excitement. And then we were told that there was going to be a government of national unity. Even after the president had appointed his cabinet, some people still sold the false narrative that there will be a government of national unity. And of course, there is no government of national unity. And then we were told that there will be a national transitional authority. It is not there. There is no national transitional authority. So it appears to me that this is just trying to manage people. Rakidzo, well, yes, I think sometimes when people bring a hopeless case before a court of law, either the lawyers are incompetent or it is deliberate. In this case, no lawyer worth his salt, and I say this with the greatest of respect, will file an application challenging a recall without citing the party that the recallees come from. And it is awkward that in this case, there's no mention of the CCC in the court papers. And then the issue that the person with unquestionable mandate in the CCC is Advocate Chamisa. He is their president. There's no one who can dispute that. He was their candidate. He should have then written an affidavit in the court papers supporting his MPs, confirming that he had not consented to their being recalled. But he has stayed away from the case. He has not gone to court to say Chabangu is lying and so on. And if you look at it closely, the inactions of the CCC leadership there then gives ZANU-PF the two-thirds majority that ZANU-PF needs. And I don't know whether this is by sheer incompetence or forgetfulness or what, but to me it is suspicious.
Thank you so much, Senator. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. I just want to say in your closing, Senator, obviously, feel free to conclude on the topic we were discussing today. And also, if you could just let those who might be thinking about joining MDC, how can the MDCT, how can they do that? And I hope Munema structures, because there's a lot going on in other political parties. Who should people speak to? How can they join? How are the processes? I mean, if you could just let people know, because I think a lot of people want something that's structured at this juncture. So many thanks for joining the space. Please feel free to conclude your presentation and your contributions there, and also just allow people to know how they can get in touch. Many thanks.
Oh, thank you very much. I think the MDC, in a way, is similar in the history to the Labour Party of England. There was a time when the Labour Party was out of power. Actually, when, there was a time that it split. And there was a time, long periods of time where it was not performing well in elections. It rebranded itself and won the election in 1997 under Tony Blair. And after Blair and Gordon Brown, they again went down and were dominated by the Conservatives. Now, as we speak, they are poised for what looks like would be a landslide in the party to adversity and prevail. What the DC has to do after this election, which were not and fair, it gone to the drawing board. We are building synergies with other political parties across the world. And we are doing serious fundraising for ourselves. We are also restructuring the party in a very, very serious way. And we are staying away from unproductive fights. It doesn't mean that within the MDC there are no disagreements. There are disagreements, yes, but we are able to contain them now, given that there is a constitution that we fall back to. If people question my mandate as president, I always refer them to the minutes of the Congress of the 18th of December 2022. So the MDC is definitely going to be a party that is going to be a serious contender for state power. In April next year, we are holding a major policy conference where we are outlining our conferences, our policies. It is going to be a major policy conference with about 5,000 participants. It is going to be a serious issue, and we are going to give a serious statement of intent of what we intend to do come 2028. And come 2028, there is no question that we are serious contenders for state power. Those people who want to join the MDC, there are a number of ways. First, one can just walk to an official of the MDC that they know. They can be given forms to fill, and then they fill their forms. We enter their credentials in the database, and they are issued with a membership card. Some can actually come to Harvest House, the second floor, and say, I want to join. Our joining fee is $1. Then you get your membership card. Our subscription is 50 cents a month for each member. We are going to be reactivating our website, and some of the forms that people we can fill will be can be downloaded online, and people can fill their forms and so on and submit them online to us. We will process their membership cards, and they can take their membership cards from the nearest office of the MDC. We are in the process also of reclaiming back our offices that the CCC is continuing to take. Despite that they were formed in 2022, they are taking our offices and so on. We don't want an unnecessary fight with them, but we want them to give us back our offices. But most importantly, on Thursday, I assigned the members of the presidium of the MDC certain clusters that they have to supervise. So Vice President Njovu is going to be supervising finance, administration, human resources, etc. Vice President Paulina Mpariwa is going to deal with international.
All right. That was Douglas Mwonzora speaking, and to those that are watching, thank you so much for joining me. It was a continuation. You need to go and watch the other part that we did yesterday, so that would context on what I was saying. But that being said, this was quite a lecture, if I can put it that way, because it really outlines a lot of things that we have been saying quite some time. Let me just respond to a few questions that I've been seeing here now. I see Njabulomo, if you are still here. Who are you? Who are you? Who do you represent? Your history. You are one who started the recalls. Then these recalls. Then we record about that. Yes. Sorry about that. Actually, outlined that fact that he is not the one who started recalls. The recalls started with Morgan Changrai when he recalled Tendai Biti, and it was then proceeded by Nelson Chamisa when he recalled Thokozani Kupe, and then Thokozani Kupe then recalled some members. And after that, that's when it was also then done by him as Douglas Mwonzora. Let's not hate the player. Let's play the ball. Let's not hate the player. Don't play the player, play the ball. Yes, there are things that I don't agree with Douglas Mwonzora in the sense that in their fight with Nelson Chamisa, whether it was they should have looked at the bigger picture of things instead of looking at the constitutionalism, which was in the end going to decimate opposition. So yeah, so that's how it works. Anyway, let me also answer to what's the reason for recall. I think he's answered that. Then George Josiah, if you're here, in what capacity is Mwonzora commenting on CCC affairs? He's commenting because he's a legal person and is somebody who has known the people that are in the Triple C for quite some time. So that's why he was commenting. And that is the mere reason why he was commenting. And yeah, so basically that is it. Is he still a senator? I think I've answered this yesterday. If one becomes a senator or an MP, or he still be called honorable even after they finish their term. They can still be called that even if they're a councillor or an MP or an ambassador or even the president. That's why you hear in South Africa, Thabo Mbeki is still called President Mbeki. Jacob Zuma is still called President Jacob Zuma, even though he has left the post of a president. Then this one is saying, speaking on behalf of who? Right, he's speaking on just, this is a matter of public interest and it has to be commented by any citizen, wherever, even like me and like yourself, you can comment. So he's speaking on his capacity as somebody who is known. I think I've answered that. That fool called Mwonzora, if I was you, I would hide behind my blankets. People have denied you. Yeah, I mean, it's that's your opinion, but I think the man is resolute. He is believing that he's going to retain power. You heard his speech in the last minutes of the show when he was talking about the resurrection of the MDC. Whether that is going to be a reality, that is another question. But what do you make of that? Anyway, I've spoken yesterday and I did a rant about this whole issue. But let me just point out a few things that I've picked up in this conversation. First of all, we've picked up that Mwonzora has denied that he is involved in this fight between Nelson Chamisa and Sengezo Chavang. And number two, he said the methods that have been used by Triple C in the filing of affidavits, it is very, very wrong in the sense that it does not state Nelson Chamisa as the only. You remember there was a letter that was written which Nelson Chamisa said he has written to Parliament. That letter is also does not. It makes him to be the president or to be the person who has got the prima facie authority, if that is that word, of Triple C. Now, him being the person who has got that capacity, in the filing of the court application, there was need for Nelson Chamisa to be the one who files that court application, not the MPs. The MPs were supposed to be behind. He was supposed to be the complainant in this case, and so that to according to Douglas Mwonzora, it makes the case not to be granted any leave that they are seeking in the court of law. So it won't hold any water. So it's already a lost cause before it has been heard. So that is one of the questions that is also said, and that means that these MPs are on their own. So if these MPs are on their own, what does this mean? It means that they now have to salvage some money. Remember, the nomination court, it costs money. If I recall, I think it is, I don't know, I think it's $1,000 for you to file as an MP. And I think as a councillor, I think somewhere around $500, I think. I still have to check, but I'm just assuming those are the price. But I'm just saying that these MPs, they did not receive their first salary, and now they are being forced now to use resources to go back and campaign. And when they are going to campaign, they have to use their own money to go and file their nomination court papers. And the party that they represented and that made them to use their resources, which is led by Advocate Nelson Chamisa, has not protected them in terms of, one, they should have, according to Douglas Mwonzora, I'm commenting on what he says as a legal person. I'm not a legal person, so I'm commenting these matters of the law because it's somebody who is. Instead, he said what should have happened when the letter of Sengezo Shabangu was written, there was need for Nelson Chamisa to go to file an interdict to the High Court that these recalls will not be effected. But what we saw is people started mocking Chabang on the internet, and some people, they were threatening that they want to beat him up instead of doing the legal thing, which is to go and file an interdict to stop that from happening. They didn't do that. Only what they then saw was a letter now being addressed to the so-called MPs. So to ZANU-PF, it is an on goal that Triple C scored for themselves. So they'll take that goal. So he also said that being said, it means that there is something that is fishy. I has answered a lot of questions, so please go and listen to the whole interview. You can jog back and find. It will really help. What are the dynamics of all the things that are happening here? And also the other thing that he also mentioned, that to deny that Sengezo Shabangu is not a known person in the Triple C, it's a lie, because this man has signed a number of MPs that are inside the party. So he is a known person inside the party. So to deny him in front of international media was clearly preposterous, and it was very, very disingenuous of Nelson Chamisa to do that. He was not supposed to do that, to pretend as though he doesn't know Nelson Chamisa. In closing, Mwonzora said it is very imperative for Nelson Chamisa to engage Sengezo Chabangu. I've seen a tweet. I think let me just post that. Let me just put that tweet, which was done by Hopo Shingono. He was saying that there is something that is actually happening, and in that, okay, let's just go to that tweet. All right, this is the tweet. I want you to see it. All right, there is the tweet where it says, he was saying these things that all right, here we go. Yeah, there is the tweet. It says here, all right, here is what it says. Sengezo Shabangu and his team have reached out to senior CCC MPs seeking to resolve their dispute amicably. Shabangu and his team said that they have delayed replacing proportional representation MPs because they have said that their intention is not to do a Douglas Mwonzora on CCC, but to force Nelson Chamisa to return the party to constitutionalism. Some of the leaders who were approached by Chabangu's team confirmed that Chabangu's lawyer also reached out to them, suggesting an amicable settlement that doesn't destroy CCC or allow ZANU-PF to benefit from the internal discord. Their main demands are a return to the leadership elected at Gweru Congress, a return to constitutionalism, and an accountable leadership which is guided by party constitution. Nelson Chamisa insists that CCC is a new party without elected leaders except himself and the ones he has appointed. So that is the so in closing, what I can say here is that there is need for these people to sit down and prioritize the country first. Nelson Chamisa must prioritize the country and the people that sacrificed their time to come and register to vote. Some came to register to vote, and some they flew from thousands and thousands of kilometers to come and register to vote. As much as we hate Chabangu for what he did, we must also reprimand Nelson Chamisa to say he must go and have an amicable solution, because at this time around, the law is not on his side. Blame all you want ZANU-PF, but in this instance, there is a lot of lackadaisic application of the law that is we have witnessed from the Triple C side, and that, for me, it is a cause for concern, and it needs to be rebuked in its or highest form. That the Triple C needs to put their house in order, and the earlier the better. If they don't do that, they have a risk of losing what people put their blood and sweat into. And in that, it will cause a lot of voter apathy because one, a lot of people, they don't like ZANU-PF. And now they came to Zimbabwe to vote because they really wanted to see change. And you don't respect their vote. So both in this scenario, you have Chabang who is saying that I'm right, and you also have Nelson James who said who's saying I'm right. Two wrongs do not make a right. In this instant, it needs someone who can wear the bigger brother jacket and say, I'm going to be the bigger person. I'm going to take a compromise and allow what the people of Zimbabwe voted for to prevail in this regard. But I don't know what you guys make of this submission by Douglas Mwonzora, but to me, this is a sum up of everything that he has said. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please support us financially. And you can also donate if you're watching this. And you can actually add, I have activated super stickers. So you can actually send a super sticker on the channel, whether it's a $10, $20, depending on how you want to support, because we want to continue doing these interviews. I would want to personally interview Mr. Nelson Chamisa on our platform, but it would need funds for us to do that, for me to be able to conduct that interview. So please make it happen. Support this channel financially. Get in touch with me if you want to give, whether via Mukuru or World Remit. Please do that. Get in touch on the numbers that are appearing on the screen. I really love to see your support, and on this platform, we really need your support. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.